Hello there, welcome to Jones to Travel. My name's Aaron, and welcome to episode number 2 of our Ultimate Solar build. Just as a recap, we're putting 2400 watts of solar on top of our DRV Fullhouse toy hauler, and we're installing two 24 volt inverters. We're going to run a 24 volt lithium battery pack. And on the last episode, we kind of went through those components. We talked to them a little bit, but as we go and install them, we'll go into a little more depth. So what's in store for today? Well, today we're going to build a false wall that's going to house all of our components. It's going to allow us to hide some wiring behind and make it a really clean and beautiful install. So we're going to be in this little storage bay here behind me. We're also going to be back in the toy hauler on the patio, building out this wall. We're going to cut some holes. We're going to make our mounting locations. We're going to carpet this wall so it looks really nice when it's done. We're going to get all that accomplished today. We'll see how far we get. But again, welcome to episode number 2 of our ultimate solar build on our 2017 DRV Fullhouse toy hauler. And when we come back, we'll get started. Let's start here in the cargo bay. You can see here I've got my custom battery rack that we had built at TNT Welding here in Rapid City, South Dakota. And currently I've got one battery sitting on it just to kind of give it some weight. We're going to be bolting this to the floor. And then ultimately when the build is done, I'm going to put a plywood wall here to kind of protect them. And then I can, hang cords and have a little more storage space. I'm going to use 1/2-inch plywood so it's good and sturdy. And then eventually all 4 of these batteries are going to be in that rack, wired 24 volt, so 2 of them in series and then the 4 of them in parallel. I have to move this. This is actually the feed from the generator. Generator's behind this wall, comes into this box and feeds the automatic transfer switch. So this I'm going to take off. I'm going to mount it over here. Then I'm going to put a support up here and one on the floor, and there's going to be this false wall with our 2 inverters, our solar controller, our links, and all that kind of stuff will be on it. I've already got this board cut and I've got it laying on some tables back in the toy hauler, and we're going to lay out our components, install the battery cutoff switches and that sort of thing in the wall, and do everything we can on the bench to make it a little bit easier to get it all installed when we're done. That's kind of what's on the agenda today. I want to get that wall built and I want to get it ready to install, and then we'll go from there. So let's go back in the toy hauler and let's start laying out the components on the new wall. As you can see, I've got this bracket installed. I went ahead and mounted a piece of a 2x2 under here to give it some strength. So these screws are going into 1/2-inch plywood and a 2x2. This one's already done. The cool thing about these inverters is they actually have a bracket on the back that hook on this. So they slide down and hook, and then you put 2 screws here. I'm going to go ahead and put this one on. And then of course before I take this and mount it up front, I'm going to remove these again, but I want to get some preliminary wires made up, get the switches installed, get as much work as I can out here where it's easier. I'm going to go ahead and put carpet on this. So let's press on. So you can see here, this little hook actually hooks on here. So we're going to pull it down as tight as we can, and then we'll screw it in. The base gets screwed in. Kind of like that. Kind of get it lined up with our marks. And just like that. Double check, make sure it's down all the way. Yep, beautiful. Okay, drill a couple pilot holes. These aren't going to move. Now, if I take the cover off of this, we'll be able to see that the 2 battery cables hook up here and here. I'm going to put these little plastic grommets. We're going to drill a hole here and a hole here, and that'll allow the wire to go in behind the wall. And then I'm going to place the battery cutoff switch somewhere like that. And it's going to come down in the wall, hook up to the switch, come over and come out and go into the links. We'll also have to make holes here and here for our electrical wires. Now we can do our switches. So I'm thinking about centering it. I wanted to bring you back. My other camera actually died, so I did some of this without recording. Let's check out what I've got done. So I've got this inverter is wired DC on the DC side. So I got power going back behind the panel to the switch, and then comes out here to the links, number 2. And then I got number 1 wired into the switch and out to number 1. And then I have ground on number 2 all wired. I ran out of lugs, so I got to put a lug on that one, and then I got to put lugs and build the negative one for this side. I got the solar controller all wired in, got the breakers wired. Next I'm going to take all this apart and I'm going to put carpet on this. I've got to get some more of these 3/4 inch rings. I don't quite have enough, and get this thing all carpeted up, and then I can put all these components back on. So I'm going to go ahead and begin that process now. I'm going to pull these inverters off and set them aside. They're super heavy. I mean, this thing is it's wobbly. It was much easier to do it out here than try to do it in that crammed in that cargo bay. I've got wires for my DC to DC converter. I'm just gonna take those in with, and it'll go over to where the converter is gonna be. Besides that, it's coming along. So let me get this thing disassembled. Okay, so here's kind of the first peak of the false wall. I added back on the switches and stuck these cables back in. This inverter, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but that's the inverter that runs our fridge currently, and that's going to come out. So that's going to completely go away. I got the battery rack bolted down to the floor. You can kind of see my Protang fire suppression tube that wraps all the way around. It goes clear over and protects the DC bus. It comes around, protects our batteries, protects this wiring, inverters, and then goes into the generator bay. We can definitely fire protect your fifth wheel. Today, I'm going to, let me pull this back a little. I'm going to make my 2x4 up across the top to screw this to, and I'm going to make one for the floor so I can screw it to the floor. But I wanted to kind of show you where I'm at now. I'm going to get this wall installed, and then I can start hanging components. So I had a little interference here with the tie down, so I'll have a strap that comes here and goes over the batteries. So that's the base. I'm going to screw it down to the floor, and then this false wall will go up against it, and we'll be able to screw it to the board. Very nice. Fits very well. It's sturdy. It's not going to go anywhere. We get some components installed on it. It's really going to be good. I'm also going to install my battery monitor over here somewhere on this wall. I'll probably put it like right here. I've got it kind of temporarily hooked up, but I'll probably mount it over here somewhere. I got to get these other three components mounted, and then we can start working on that. It's a little bit windy out today. That's the reason I'm not on the roof. We were able to get the wall built and carpeted and installed. On the next episode, we're going to start hanging components, and we're going to start getting things wired up. So thanks for checking out the video. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. I appreciate your feedback. And until next time, safe travels. Bye.